What's up guys, this is Brendan with Electronix, and today we're working on a 2004 BMW M3. This car actually came to our install bay last week with a couple issues which we'll go over in the end of the video, but the primary part we're going to be doing today is replacing the front door components. This vehicle already has a set of aftermarket speakers in it, so what I'm going to do with this video is basically show you how to remove the door panel, how to reinstall the door panel, and sort of give you an overview of what needs to be done to get a speaker in this car. On that, stay tuned. So we're gonna go ahead and start with removing the door panel. Now on this particular vehicle, you're gonna need a T20 Torx, possibly a Phillips driver, as well as a couple panel pry tools and a pick. Now first area you wanna start is basically right here in the, where the door pull is. We actually have a delete plate behind there. It's a little circle that actually houses a Phillips or a T20 Torx. Now it may look a little tricky to actually get this piece off, but I have a trick up my sleeve. You just push on one side of that little panel, that little delete clip, it actually will pop out somewhat to enough where you can get your finger in there and pop out this little clip that hides that screw behind the door pull. Now that we got the delete clip out, now the next portion of the panel that we actually have to remove is there's a little airbag emblem right here that actually just pops right off. And typically there's a T20 Torx also right behind this little airbag emblem. On this particular car, since it's already been taken apart, it's missing. So if I have an extra one, I'll go ahead and throw it in there for the customer. Next, underneath the armrest, you actually have 3 T20 Torx. You have one right here, okay. We actually have a T20 Torx located right here at the very back, one up the very front, as well at the very front of the panel, the actual handle of the door panel. So we gotta remove these 3 T20 Torx, and to do that, I got a nice long extension here. All right, now that we got the 3 Torx out on the actual armrest of the door panel and all the screws are removed, this door panel is actually held in by door panel clips, which in this case are already pretty much all broken, so the customer bought a whole new kit from BMW for us to replace those clips. So I usually start at the bottom, pop the door panel off, there we go. Now on the back side, we actually have this clip that's holding the door latch mechanism onto the door panel itself, and that just pops right off. Next, we have some speaker wire. As you can tell, somebody was already in here. Hence the reason why we're replacing the front tweeters and mids in this car. So once we got the door panel successfully removed, you'll notice on this particular vehicle, it's a little unique. The actual mid-range is mounted to the door panel itself. So when it comes to choosing an aftermarket component set for this car, it's actually pretty difficult because we have minimal mounting depth, as you can see in the door. There's not much area since we have the actual window motor right behind the mid-range. So it does make it difficult. And as you can tell, we actually have the tweeter on the door as well. This car factory actually had a 3-way component system up here. We had a mid and then a tweet, and then obviously your mid-bass driver. In this particular application, and most times in the aftermarket world, we're just gonna do a 2-way component, which actually, with an amplifier and a clean set of speakers, will sound a lot better than your factory 3-way. All right guys, so we got the door panel off, and as you can see here, whoever was in here previously, unfortunately, didn't save all the factory brackets or didn't utilize them with their aftermarket speaker install. So as you can tell, our mid-range, our aftermarket mid-range, which is actually a dual cone Kenwood, it's like a $20 speaker. It's held in with some Dynamat, some homemade brackets. You know, if the previous installer kept some of the brackets, you probably could have utilized them in the aftermarket component install. Now I'm gonna have to get sort of creative with mounting the new Alpine Type Rs that we're putting in this vehicle. Obviously make some new ABS mounts or some new brackets to get them firmly mounted in the vehicle. So that way the mid-range doesn't fall out of the door when I take off the door panel again, because that's what happened last time. Just give you guys an update. So Alan's taking off the other door panel right now. I'm gonna get these things in here and stay tuned. All right, so as you can tell, they just dynamated the tweeter into place, and it looks like we got a Boss Audio tweeter or a Power Acoustic tweeter in there, and unfortunately, they didn't even run a cap on the tweeter, so it's getting full range audio signal, which could obviously blow up your tweeter. So we're gonna put some new crossovers in with our Alpine Type R components and make this thing sound good. All right guys, so the Alpine Type R has actually come with a nice little handy speaker adapter ring right here, which I'm probably gonna use in this installation. What I'm gonna do is actually, we have 3 factory mounting points for the factory mid-range, 1, 2, 3. So what I'm gonna do is more than likely shave down this bracket a tad bit, but it lines up in most of the areas. So I'm gonna have to modify the bracket a tad bit, mount the new Alpine Type R mid into the adapter bracket and obviously to the door. I'm also going to insulate the outer rim of the speaker with some foam. That way it directs the sound right out of the speaker grill, and you get some good sound quality out of these Alpine Type Rs. So I'm going to get to work on that and see how I can do it. All right guys, so we got the mid successfully mounted into the door. It's a little tricky. We had to use a couple different types of hardware to actually get it in there nice and tight. Since whoever worked on this car before lost all the factory hardware, it made it a lot more difficult for us to actually mount the speaker into that factory location. Now for the tweeter, Alpine actually includes some flush mount cups where the tweeter just mounts right in. And we're actually gonna go right to the factory tweeter location right here, but we gotta pop out this grill on the outer side. So this pops right off. Our tweeter will mount right there. Do a quick test fit because we got some room within that panel. And voila. So all we have to do is put our retaining ring. We'll suck that tweeter in, give me a little bit more clearance, and still looks factory. All right, so we got the mid mounted into the door panel as well as the tweeter. Now the next step is mounting our crossover. All right guys, so we got the everything mounted on the door panel, good to go. We got some new connectors, all of our wiring's nice and tidy. Now in this particular application, when the previous installer did the installation of the 4-channel, they actually 9-wired out of the outputs of the factory amp, and that's why we're utilizing the factory speaker wire in this particular application, since the customer didn't have us rewire the entire car. So we're just going to go ahead and connect our last positive and negative directly to the mid-range and get the door panel back on. All right guys, so we got the door panel reinstalled on the passenger side. We got all the screws replaced as well. We put brand new BMW door panel clips on each door. We're gonna go ahead and knock out the driver's side, do a system retune, readjust his JL/304, and it should sound pretty good after we're done. So we got the speakers in, guys. I'm just doing a couple final tests here, making sure that our tweeters and our mids work in each door. Now, this car's got some history on it. Basically, it came from another shop that did the installation prior from when the guy bought the car. And they did a great setup in the trunk, mounting the 2 JL/304s. Nice little amp rack, looked all tidy, but the customer was complaining of audio cutting in and out. The system would just turn off. So once I got in there, I found out that basically all the speaker wires they ran up to the doors, or basically tapped into, the polarity was mismatched. So positive going to negative, negative going to positive. So the speakers were all firing incorrectly. The gains were all the way up on the amps. The crossovers were at 200 hertz on the high pass filter. So this car literally just had treble, no mid bass whatsoever. So what we're going to go ahead and do right now is retune both amplifiers for them, and that should be the final product for us. Other than that, this is Brendan with Sonic Electronics. You guys have an awesome day. Can't even hear the rears.
You faded to the front.
Oh yeah.